and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Maokpe Ogun Yusuf. It's the week of Easter, and who better to speak with than our guest this week? He's one of only 4 persons ever appointed in Nigeria to his position. John Cardinal Onaiyekan is one of the princes of the Catholic Church, a peace and interreligious harmony advocate, and one who has not been silent in matters of state and governance, especially as concerns Nigeria. Your Eminence, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure coming here.
Well, you recently clocked 75.
75, yes.
Do you feel 75?
I don't know what 75 looks like. I just know how I feel.
Yes. How do you feel?
Very well.
Very well.
Very well. Thanks be to God. I enjoy reasonably good health. I don't expect too much because I know the age must have its toll. I don't expect to jump out of bed every morning. I crawl out and I take it in my stride.
Which is very good. Fair enough. But speaking more seriously about your work now, you have always talked about religious harmony in Nigeria. You have even set up a foundation which is, you know, trying to foster religious harmony and peace in the country. However, you know, it would seem that increasingly people are becoming more sensitive to matters of religion and ethnicity. What, in your opinion, is responsible for this?
It appears that people have become more sensitive to matters of religion and ethnicity. It just appears. But in my own opinion, what has happened is that people have become more aware of who they are, what their rights are, and whereas in times past, people tended to just accept things as they are without expecting it to be better, now people are less patient. And I think if we take that into consideration, what we are seeing need not necessarily be seen in a negative way. It will actually be positive, because if we don't have this kind of agitation of people insisting on their identity, we will not eventually begin to learn to know one another well, to accept one another well. It's not an easy process, but it is a process that we just have to go through.
It's interesting how you say it should not always be seen in negative light.
Yes.
You know, because it would seem that this awareness is creeping even into the church. Only recently, Ahira Diocese, you know, had that same, it would seem, awareness, because the people there felt that what they were asking for was their right, that they were in their right to say, we want a bishop who was from amongst us. How do you react to that? Do you think it's the same thing?
No, it is not the same thing. Permit me to say that the Ahira issue, which probably is not the purpose of this discussion, is we wouldn't see it in terms of people fighting for their right. That is how the whole problem is. Of course, a lot of people fight for things which they consider their right, whereas it is not. And of course, if you fight for what you think is your right and it is not your right, someone else is going to tell you it is not your right. But that's part of life. You go as far as you can, and when you find that you can't go any further, you just accept it.
What is the difference, primarily, would you say, between the clamor in Ahira and what we're seeing in the larger Nigerian society in terms of sensitivity? Because when people say, give us our own bishop, I mean, isn't that the same thing? Give us our own person in this place. Give us a Christian this.
No,
give us a Muslim that.
Precisely, that's the difference now. That in the church, we don't operate on that basis. There's no such thing as give us our own bishop. What we say is give us a bishop in the church. And other dioceses have accepted whatever bishop was appointed to them. That is the rule. And that is the way the church is run. It is not like a political arrangement where you have to make sure that somebody of your own is appointed as leader. It is not like that. After all, for a long time, we had bishops in Nigeria who came from abroad. And right now, the whole Catholic Church is ruled by a bishop or a cardinal from Argentina. Before him, another came from Poland, and later the one from Germany. Where this is the Church of God that we are living in. I wouldn't want to stress the issue of the Ahira case, which for us is totally totally unusual. Totally unusual.
What kind of precedent do you think is set, though, for the Catholic Church?
I do not see it as setting any precedent. The only precedent it sets is it just shows us what should not be done, what should not happen. I don't think anybody seriously wants to be proud of what happened.
Well, you have been talking more about Chibok. Now, you have been one of the voices asking for the return of the Chibok girls. You even undertook a march.
I was part of the march.
About
yes.
two years ago. And now it's been how many days? 5 years.
5 years.
Since these girls were taken from their school. Are you happy, first and foremost, with the response of the government, given that some of the girls have been returned?
We cannot understand that a group of terrorists have been sitting there in that part of Nigeria and are able to keep so many young girls away from their parents, away from their school. 5 years. Over 100 are still missing. That some have been rescued or recovered. It's okay, we thank God for that. But the parents of those who are still missing, I put myself in their position. It's not finished until it is all over. We want, at least there should be the matter should have a kind of foreclosure. We should say, yes, we know we have so many of them. Some have died. Some have been sold to I don't know where. Let's have a clear account of what is happening. We have been told that some probably have died. But who are they who have died? Say it now. That's how we know. And the parents can bury their dead. If there are some, which they are suggesting, have actually psychologically just organized themselves, accepted their position, and even perhaps fallen in love with their captors, which happens sometimes, and therefore have decided to remain with them. Well, let's know. We have a right to know.
How would you rate the response of Nigerians to that matter? Would you say that, I mean, because you saw how politically divisive that matter became. Some did not believe, some Nigerians came out to ask for the return of the girls. Some of them were vilified. Some, there were all manner of reactions. In your opinion, how would you say that you saw the response of Nigerians to a matter such as that, and even to other matters of state involving security?
Well, we are in a situation where it has become easy to, using the Nigerian expression, politicize everything. And politicize meaning don't tell the truth about it. Your politics have become telling lies. And when you say an issue has been politicized, it means you cannot hear the truth about it. And it happened in the case of the Chibok girls when they were first abducted. We are told, no, it's not true. They were not abducted. It is only the political opposition that is looking for something with which to give the government a bad name. And that narrative went on. And those ordinary Nigerians standing by, we are waiting. You are just there. You don't understand what is happening. Please tell us the truth. Eventually, when it becomes clear that indeed they were indeed abducted, thanks to the insistence of the groups of people who started that movement of bring back our girls, and the parents themselves were also coming out. Then, from that point on, what do we do? What have Nigerians done? I'm afraid it's like we live in a country where people have so many problems that they don't even have enough time to really take seriously some things that should be taken seriously.
Well, you have also been very worried about Nigeria's elections, especially this recent one, the 2019 general elections, which just came and left. And you were quoted as saying that we have two well-known but undesirable candidates. Is that correct?
That was the beginning, before the elections.
You still feel that way? You don't feel that way anymore?
No, that was the way I felt at that time. My own opinion was that at this stage in Nigeria, we are left with those kind of two candidates out of 200 million Nigerians. We can't find any material better than these two. That was the meaning of my expression. And it was said in terms of this is the reality we are faced with now. And whether we like it or not, these are the two people among whom we must vote. It's up then to the listeners to decide what to do.
Well, they have decided what to do.
They decided.
One of them has emerged as the president.
One of them has been declared. One of them
Yes.
has been declared the winner.
Yes.
And the other one has been declared loser.
Yes,
and we are still on it.
And he's headed to court.
They are headed to court.
You served on the committee, you know, trying to bring about peace between the candidates before and after the elections. Are you satisfied as to where we are right now in terms of the political climate after the elections?
No, I'm not satisfied because the problem is still there. And the major intention of the peace committee after the election was to try and douse a situation of growing and mounting tension in the land. It was our firm belief that whatever the situation, whether the elections were properly done or not, we must do everything to prevent a breakdown of law and order, because when that happens, it is the poor people who will pay the price.
Well, you say you're not satisfied post-elections of the atmosphere. Wouldn't you say that tensions have been doused?
Yes, tensions have been doused, and we thank God that tensions have been doused.
But what are you unhappy with?
If we say everything is okay, it is not. There is still no. I don't think that we have a nation where we have now, after election, that we have now settled to government. We are still there's still a lot of the parties that fought the election and have not finished fighting. And it is affecting the entire body of the nation. What one would have expected is, during election campaign, yes, people talk and try to convince the rest of us that we are better than them, you are better than us. But after the election, the nation is supposed to move forward. People who lose elections should not be made to feel like they are no longer relevant, that they've lost. You should keep quiet. And those who win election should not feel that now the country belongs to us. We have conquered. Because this is not, it's not about that. It's like, well, if those who win elections think that they have conquered the country and they are now fully controlling it, and those who are not with them are out, then we will be shooting ourselves in the leg.
Well, isn't that the nature of democracy?
No, it's not the nature of democracy. It is not the nature of democracy, and it is often said in a democracy, even though the majority may carry the vote, the minority must have their say. And don't forget that how many Nigerians are really card-carrying members of political parties? And I've been thinking about this, which means even if you are talking about those who won and those who lost, this is a small group of people. There's the rest of us, and I dare say about 70% of Nigerians who don't belong to any political party and who cannot simply be considered irrelevant, even in terms of leadership. And you know, isn't that why we expect, for example, the civil service not to be politicized? That so that the right people are doing the right jobs.
Let's quickly take your reaction to the sex scandal, which is sex abuse scandal, currently rocking the Catholic Church. What do you think the church in Nigeria should be saying? Because it seems to have been largely silent.
I think it's good to put things in proper context and perspective. You know, the Catholic Church is a big organization. In fact, probably the biggest organization in the world. We are up to almost 1 billion Catholics. priests are in their hundreds of thousands, bishops to thousands and thousands. I just want it to be realized that the so-called, well, not the so-called, the cases of sex abuse are still very much a matter of a small, tiny minority. That doesn't in any way take away from the malice and the scandal that it has caused, because it ought not to have happened. But it would not be fair to judge the entire church on the basis of these cases that have been brought, many of which dated back 40 years, 30 years ago. And probably because the Catholic Church is particularly sensitive to these matters, maybe that is why it has taken it so seriously and maybe made itself more easily vulnerable to the way the church was being treated, not only by some civil authorities, tribunals, but even by the press. You think this is a press matter? No, I don't say it's a press matter. I said, mind you, I said there's the civil authorities who have taken certain steps against some in regard to the sex abuse, and the press has brought it out in different ways. When you look at the fact that we haven't heard one case in Nigeria, for instance, I'm not saying that, I mean, are we saying that the church in Nigeria is immune? Yes. I'm coming to that. I'm just saying, generally, the impression cannot be sustained that the Catholic Church is riddled with pedophile and sex abuse clergy. No, that is not the situation. Nor do we forget that the church still continues to do its God-given work and continues to witness, that's the word we will use, witness to the love of Christ in and among people. When you come to Nigeria, there is no part of the world that is totally immune. We've had our own cases of people who have misbehaved, and we have been handling them with the caution that we were used to handling them, just like they did in Europe and America for many years. Yeah, people will say that perhaps the church alone should not handle such cases, that perhaps the civil authorities should also come into this matter. Oh yes, if a parent came and informed me that Father X has abused my daughter, and I'm going to report him to the police, I cannot stop him. And if the police comes with a prima facie case and said, we want to arrest Father X, you take him away. I will not tell them, don't take him away. And definitely, I will not be in any way ready. I will not in any way obstruct justice in this regard. The problem we had, and many of the, especially the bishops and cardinals that they were being carrying away up and down, they were being accused that they covered up. They covered up the bad behavior of some priests. The question of covering up is very delicate. Like I said, for a long time, when a priest misbehaved, you called him, you cautioned him. Even people who themselves felt aggrieved didn't feel like they needed to go to the police. You cautioned, and we thought we had ways and means of healing the harm that had been done, and even of helping the offender to change and take a new path. Maybe it worked in many cases, but in some cases it didn't work. But do you think the approach should now be different? Are they asking now that the priests, the bishops and cardinals should have reported those people to the civil authorities? If that is the path that the church is suggesting, is it a path that you think is the best way? The church officially is not suggesting that. The church simply says that we must respect the laws of our land in this regard. So, which means what? Whatever the laws of Nigeria are. You have a duty to report? Do I have a duty to report? Yes. Do I have? I'm asking you. I don't think I have. in the other Nigerian law. Does a father have a duty to report his son to the police if he has done something wrong and they find it out within the family? There are certain things that happens that we don't report. There are certain things that we report. The issue is, what it does bring out is that we know now we have to take this matter seriously, and we make it clear to everybody. This is an area that we must all be very careful. And you cannot think that because you are a priest, you will be exempt.
Your Eminence, as we close, what would you say to those who feel a state of, or who are in a state of despondency as regards the current situation of things in Nigeria today? I mean, you are 75 years. You have seen this country through many stages of its life. Do you feel, first and foremost, any situation of despondency? If you don't, what is your level of optimism in Nigeria?
Despondency, no. No. And the reason why I'm not despondent is that unless we want to deceive ourselves, we know why we are where we are. Our problems are largely self-inflicted. So it is well within our power to change, if only we can do it. The only thing I can say is a general sense of sadness and really sadness, because in 1960, when we got independence, I was in Form 4 in the college, and I was one of the 4 people who entered the big lorry and were sent to Lagos for the independence celebration from my college in Benue State. And as a small boy at that time, I was at the age of 14, 15. I was very sure in my mind that we are now getting independence. We are told that after independence, we shall be totally on our own, and we shall become like the great nations of the world. I thought that by now, we would be like America, Europe, and the other countries. But when I look back now, over that 60 years, and I still see where we stand, I feel very, very disappointed. But my only hope is that the children now, who perhaps don't even have the same kind of hope that I have, will not allow their hopes to die. And we should try to give them the feeling that Nigeria can be much better than it is. And one of the basic ways to make sure Nigeria is better than it is to reduce this division that we are putting among ourselves. Get ourselves together. And this is where interreligious harmony comes in, inter-ethnic harmony comes in, and the whole question of political differences come in. That if we do not put our heads together, we cannot move fast. And we keep disorganizing and destroy one another. Nigerians have proved beyond reason, every doubt, when they are abroad, that they are the best in the world. Why can't we do it here?
Big question, and one that I think the Nigerians will continue to ponder on.
Yes.
But Your Eminence, John Cardinal Onaiyekan, thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you for bringing me here. I will come again another time.
I hope to host you again. Well, that's our conversation tonight. However, you know it's not over until we hear from you. Do send your thoughts and responses to the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching as always. I'm Maokbe Ogunyusi. Good night.